Hi everyone, hope you all are good. We are here for grade 7 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab, scroll down to grade 7 and then click on the all lessons. So there you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter proportional relationships, and the lessons we're going to cover today are graph proportional relationships, identify proportional relationships, find the constant of proportionality with problems, and solve problems involving proportional relationships. So let's just start with the first lesson. Please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. So here I'm on grade 7 math. The chapter we're working on is proportional relationships, and the lesson we're going to start with is graph proportional relationships. So let's just start with the lesson. Graph this function. You are given a function that is y equals 5x. You have to graph the functions, right? Basically, the proportional relationships are the linear relationships, right? And I think we haven't worked on linear relationships right now. Okay, so how do we graph these relation, right? So you can graph a function by plotting ordered pairs. You have to plot the ordered pairs, right? Orders pair by plugging in values for x. You have to plug in different values of x in the given function, and then you have to calculate the values of y. So these plot them on the graph. Okay, for example, the first one here is replace x with 0, right? So when you replace x with 0, 5 times 0 is 0. That means when x is 0, y is 0, here is an ordered pair, right? Then when you have equals 1, replace 1 with x with 1, that is 5 times 1 equal 5. So here is the point 1 and 5. Now you have 2 points 0, 0 and 1, 5, right? Ordered pair, right? When x is 0, y is 0. When x is 1, y is 5. So you have to plot these 2 points on the graph and join them to make a line, right? Here is a point x 0, 0, x 0, y 0, and here is another point x is 1, you put on the x-axis, and y is 5. So just join these points and make a line. So when you connect these 2 points to make a line, here is the graph of the equals 5x, right? Let's just with the practice questions, will make the graph, then it is easy for you to understand. Okay, the first one is the function y equals 3x, right? Let's just plot the function y equals x. You have to find the ordered pairs, then you have to plot on the graph, right? So y equals 3x, just replace the x with 0, right? Y equals 3 times 0, y is 0. So the ordered pair is 0, 0, right? Let's just replace x with 1. So y equals 3 times 1. 3 times 1 is 3. So the ordered pair is 1 and 3. You can use plot these 2 points. Here is x equals 0, 0, x 0, y 0. That is the origin. When x is 1, y is 3. So just join these points and make a straight line. It looks like this, right? Because I made this line on the board, it isn't a straight line. Okay, we are given two of the graphs. Let's see which is that one, right? Here is 0, 0, right? The other point is 1, 3. So that means that is the correct option. You have to match the table of values with the graph because here you are given with the graph. right? So the option number one is the correct option. For the next one, we'll just make the table of values and just match the table of values with the graph, right? Okay, y equals 4x. Let's just make the table of values and match it with the graph, right? Y equals 4x plus x with 0. So y equals 4 times 0, the answer is 0. The ordered pair is 0, 0, right? When x equals 1, y equals 4 times 1, that is 4. So that is 1 and 4, right? Now you have two pair of values, 0, 0, 1, 4. Just match these two values with the graph. So let's see which graph is the correct one. Okay, here is the graph, first graph. Graph is starting through the 0, 0, right? 1, x is 1, y is 4. No, you don't have any point. You must have a point here. That means this isn't the correct option, right? Now just look at the second one. Okay, here is the point 0, 0, and here is the point 1, 4, right? That means that is the correct option. The second one is the correct option. Got it? Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, next one is y equals 5x. So calculate the values of the function on the graph and match with the graph. So the which is the correct option? Just look at the first graph. Here is the first one, and here is the second one. So which is the correct option? When you make the pair of values, the pair of values would be y equals function y equals 5x. So the values are 0, 0 and 1, 5. So which is the correct option? You need to match these two pair with the graph. So which option is the correct one? That is option number 1 is the correct option, right? So option number 1 is the correct option, right? The next one is graph this function. Y equals 2x. So which is the correct option? Here is the two graphs for the equation, which is the correct option. Y equals 2x. The correct option is option number 1. Got it? Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is identify proportional relationships. With the next lesson. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So the proportional relationship means if the value of variable x is increasing, the value of variable y is also increasing, right? We are given one, two graphs. Okay, here two variables have a proportional relationship if the constant of to the other is, if the ratio of one variable to other is constant, right? The graph of a proportional relationship between x and y is straight line passing through the origin 0, 0. Here is the very important line. You must keep this line in your mind. That means the graph of the proportional relationship must pass through the origin 0, 0, right? So to determine whether a graph shows a proportional relationships between x and y, see if it is a straight line passing through the origin. That means if a graph is a straight line and passing through the origin, that means that is the graph of the mm, proportional relationship, right? The relationship between x and y is proportional. So just look at this graph. The graph is a straight line, but it does not pass through the origin. So that is not the proportional relationship, right? So you need to understand two things. So one is the graph is passing through the origin, must be a straight line. So this is a graph that is a straight line and also passing through the origin. So yes, that the graph represents x and y are the relationships, right? Proportional relationship means if one of the values is increasing, the other value is also increasing, right? If the variable, the value of variable x is increasing, y is also increasing. Let's just start with the test questions. Okay, select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So which is the correct option you are given? Of the graphs, you have to see which is the correct option. So we have just learned the properties of the graph of a proportional relationship. The graph of a proportional relationship is always a straight line and must be passing through the origin. So the correct option is the second one. The second one is the correct option because that is the graph that is passing through the origin and is the proportion. Shows represents the relationship between x and y that is proportional. Got it? Okay, select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So which is the correct option? Here you are given the two of the graphs. You have to see which is the correct option. Two, three graphs you are given this question. Hmm. What's wrong with this question? The options are not correct one for this one, right? Okay, the next one is select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So which is the correct option you are given? Two of the options. So which option is the correct one or two? Yes, the correct option is option number two. That is a straight line passing through the origin. Option number two is the correct option. The next one is select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So which is the correct option? The correct option is option number. But again, here is something wrong with the options. See, you have another option. This is the lesson have the options are not correct for this lesson. Inform the administrator. Hold on. Let me just take the screenshot of this one. I send it to the administrator. He will fix the problem. Okay. Let's see what. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So which option is the correct one? The correct option is option number 1, that is a straight line and passing through the origin. The second one isn't the correct option. Select the graphs that show the proportional relationship between x and y. Which is the correct option? Option 1 or option 2? Which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is option number 2 is the correct option. The correct option is, again, you are not given with the correct options. You can, let's just finish this lesson, move on to next one. Next lesson is find the constant of proportionality problems. Let's just start the next lesson, that is find the constant of proportionality word problems. Okay, let's just start with the first lesson, first example, that is Brian ran a total of 6 miles over the course of 2 track practices. Then later in the season, he ran 9 miles over the course of 3 track practices. How many miles did Brian run per track practice? So you have to find the constant of proportionality here, right? We have already done one of the lesson in the same chapter where we have worked on the constant of proportionality. So the proportional quantities have a constant ratio. You have to see for the, you are given two of the scenarios. For both the scenarios, if you have the constant ratio, that means they are the proportional. Proportional, they are, you have to find their constant of variation, right? So how do we create a constant of variation? You have to make a chart for two tracks. He doing 6. In 2 tracks, he covers 6 miles, and in 3 tracks, he covers 9 miles. So just calculate y over x, right? Y over x is 6 over 2 and then 9 over 3. So the constant of variation is 3. For the constant of variation, you have to divide y over x. The correct option is y over x, right? Let's just start the test questions. May grew 2 plants with 2 seed packets. Then later in the season, she grew 4 plants using 4 seed packets. How many plants can you grow with one seed packet? So you have to find the constant of variation. So you have plants. Let's just make a chart and seed packets, right? Plants is X and packets is Y. Plants with two seed packets, then in the second later season he grew plants with four seeds packet. You have to calculate the constant of variation, that would be Y over X. So 2 over 2 and 4 over 4, they both equals 1. The correct option is 1. Got it? The correct option is 1 plant. The next one is Kate's Auto Wash has revenues of $12 from two customers. At another point, the auto wash earned $18 in revenue from three customers. How much revenue does Kat's Auto Wash have per customer? So, which is the correct option? You have to calculate the constant of variation, right? You have to calculate the table. You need to make the chart, that is customer and the revenue. You have X customers is X and revenue is Y. You have and the revenue is $12. And another point you have $18 revenue and three customers. So you have to calculate the Y over X, that is the constant of variation. So that is 12 divided by 2 and 18 divided by 3. So the correct option is 6, right? That is $6. The correct option is $6, right? Kira's retirement party will cost $6 if she invites three guests. If she invites eight guests, it will cost $16. What is the cost per guest? Which is the correct option? Which is the correct option? Use your notebook and pencil and calculate the constant of variation. That is y divided by x. So you are given two of the scenarios. The first one is the guest is x. Guest is x. You have three guests and the cost is $6. And if she invites eight guests, the cost is $16. You have to calculate the constant of variation, that would be 6 divided by 3 and 16 divided by 8. So yes, that is $2. The cost per guest is $2. The correct option is $2. The correct option is $2. The next one is Malia wrote a total of 8 pages over 2 hours. A few days later, she wrote 12 pages over the course of 3 hours. How many pages does Malia wrote per hour? Which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is 6 pages. How? That would be 4 pages. You have to calculate y over x. How? Here you have time is 2 hours, time is x, that is 2. And you have pages. How many pages in 2 hours? That is 1. So for the other, you have 3 hours and 12 pages. So you have to do y over 8 over 2 and 12 over 3. So which is the correct option? 4 it is. 2 times 4 is 8 and 3 times 4 is 12. The correct option is 4, not 6. The correct option is 4 pages. Got it? Okay, the next one is Owen used 9 centimeters of tape to wrap. Then he used an additional 15 centimeter of tape to wrap another 5 presents. How many centimeters of tape does Owen use to wrap each present? So which is the correct option? Which option is the correct one? Yes, the correct option is 3 centimeter, right? The constant of variation here is 3 centimeters. Option 1 is the correct option. Very good. Pablo jarred 12 liters of jam after 3 days. Then he jarred an additional 16 liters of jam after another 4 days of jam making. How many liters of jam does Pablo jar each day? Which is the correct option? We need to calculate the constant of variation. So which is the correct option? The correct option is yes, that is 4 liters. The correct option is 4 liters. Dane baked 10 cookies with 2 scoops of flour. Another day, she baked 15 more cookies with 3 scoops of flour. How many cookies can be made with another scoop of flour? So, which is the correct option? The correct option is 5 cookies, right? The correct option is 5 cookies. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson, and the next lesson is The next lesson is solve problems involving proportional relationships. So let's just start with the lesson. This equation shows how the time required to screen print a batch of shirts is related to the number of shirts in the batch. The equation is T equals to S, right? The variable S represents the number of shirts in the batch and the variable T represents the time required to screen print the shirts. Long does it take to screen print a batch of 5 shirts? So you are given the equation, right? The equation that represents the relationship between TS and S is T equals to S. S represents the number of shirts and T represents the time required to print the shirts, right? The question is how long it take to screen print a batch of 5 shirts. You need to calculate T, right? Time you need to calculate that you need to calculate the time it take to screen print the 5 shirts. So you're given S equals 5 and you need to calculate the value of T. So T equals 2, replace the S with the value 5. So 5 times 2 is 10. That means it takes 10 minutes to print the 5 shirts. The correct option is 10 minutes. Got it? The correct option is 10 minutes. The equation shows how the total number of necklaces Belle owns in is related to the amount of money she spends on additional necklaces. That is N equals D. The variable D represents the amount of money she spends on additional necklaces and the variable N represents the total number of necklaces she owns. With $6 to spend on new necklace, how many total necklace can Belle own? So D is the amount of money and N is the number of necklaces. So with $6 to spend, you are given the money D equals 6. You need to calculate how many total necklaces she can own. So the equation is D equals N. D is 6, so N is equals 6. The correct option is 6 necklaces. You got it? Option number 2 is the correct option. That would be 6 necklaces. The next one is this equation shows how a sapling's height depends on its age. Age equals 3a. The variable a represents the age of the sapling in years and the variable h represents the height of the sapling in inches. How tall was the sapling when it was 5 years old? So which is the correct option? H equals 3a, right? You are given a equals 5. So replace the a with the 5. So 3 times 5 is, yes, 3 times 5 makes 15. The correct option is 15 inches, right? The next one is the equation shows how the total number of postcards Kira buys is related to the number of days she spends on vacation. P equals 3D. The variable D represents the number of days she spent on vacation and the variable P represents the total number of postcards she buys. After 6 days of vacation, how many total postcards will Kira have bought? So which is the correct option? after 6 days of vacation, right? Represents days. So D equals 6. So that means the correct option is yes, 18 postcards. After 6 days of vacation, she have now 18 postcards. The correct option is very good. That is 18. Okay, the next one is this equation shows how the amount Jennifer earns from dog walking depends on the number of hours she works. D equals 13h. The variable h represents the number of hours spent walking dogs, and the variable d represents the number of money earned. After a total of 1 hour of walking dogs, how much money will Jennifer have earned? So, which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is you have to spend 1 hour, and h represents the time. So replace h with 1. So the correct option is yes, that is 13. The correct option is $13, right? The next one is this equation shows how the length of Steven's hair depends on the number of years since his last haircut. H equals 13t. The variable t represents the number of years Steven since his last haircut, and the variable h represents the hair length in centimeters. Steven got his haircut 1 year ago. How long is it now? So you have to calculate the length of Steven's hair, right? We are given t equals 1, so which is the correct option? So when t equals 1, h equals 13. The correct option is 13 centimeter. Got it? The next one is this equation shows how the amount of time that a receptionist named Nick spends on the phone is related to the number of telephone calls he route to employees. T equals 2p. The variable p represents the number of phone calls he routes, and the variable t represents the number of minutes he is on the phone. If he routes 5 phone calls, how many time will Nick have spent on the phone in total? So, which is the correct option? Yes, the correct option is you need to replace the p with 5. So, 2 times 5 is 10. That means the total time she spent on phone calls is 10 minutes. The correct option is 10 minutes. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we were working on grade 7 math. The chapter we're working on is proportional relationships, and the lessons we have covered today are graph proportional relationships, identify proportional relationships, find the constant of proportionality word problems, solve problems involving proportional relationships. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we did today. That is your homework until next session, right? So if you need more help with any of the lesson, you can contact any tutor on the Skype. They are available from Monday to Friday, 5 to 9. Or either you can join me in the interactive session that would be daily from 4 to 5 and from 9 to 10, right? So if you have any question related to the lessons we have just finished, you can please ask. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. So you can please ask. No questions? No questions? Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye, everyone.